when it comes to training, it's always helpful if we can set ourselves up a little bit. So first thing I want to think about is, have I got a place where I can put my rewards? So for me, I always have a treat pouch. Not only does it give me somewhere to store my food away from my prying dog's eyes, but it also tells my dogs we're about to do some training, and that is a bit of a cue for her. The other thing is, I want you to think about, if I've got my food in my hand or holding it in a plastic bag, that can be really distracting for my dog. And then it ends up that we're just sort of bribing them into doing a behaviour. Whereas if I've got my treat pouch, they do give me the behaviour, I mark it, and then I deliver a food reward. So I'm rewarding for good choices. The other thing I want to think about is, what's my reward going to be? What does my dog like? Am I going to be in a distracting area where I need to have a heavy reinforcer, or am I just doing a little bit of training at home where I could use something a little bit more like their breakfast or their dry food that they would normally eat? The other thing we want to consider is something that we call the 3 S's. So that means my treat is going to be something soft, something smelly, and something small, because that's exactly what it is. We're not here to give our dogs a lot of food, it's just a reward for some good behaviour. So if we're using something a little bit smaller, that way we're just doing a bit of a reward. The next thing I want to consider is, what's my bridge going to be? We talked a little bit about this in our dog free lesson. So when we use a bridge, it helps with our timing. Just remember, we've only got half a second to tell our dog they've done something correct. And that can be really difficult to do if I'm fumbling around in my treat pouch trying to deliver the food. So instead, I can use a word or a clicker to tell my dog exactly at the right timing they've done something right, and then the food becomes secondary. They become more reliant on the clicker or the word bridge that I use. So just some of the words that we can use if we're going to use a verbal bridge, we find yes, yip, yep, okay, are really good. If I had a deaf dog, I could do a thumbs up. You could even make a sound like a clicker with your voice if you wanted to, like click, click. The last thing I think about is my finish cue. I always want to tell my dog that when we're finished, and that way they know they can wander off and go off in another direction. They don't need to stay with me anymore. So once you've done training and you're doing your technique, you'll see that in my videos that I also give my dog a finish cue, and that allows her to be a dog again.